Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Time check for you, 12 hours 3. My name is Amrita Koshal, and it is now time for your main newscast. French oil company sends auditors on fishing expedition in Mozambique. French multinational Total SA and Italy's Eni and other oil companies have spent billions behind the development of the gas resources, which are spread across two concessions, Area 1 and Area 4, in the Rovuma Basin off the coast of northern Mozambique. Mozambique's government estimates that it will receive as much as $64 billion from the gas projects. These projected revenues are heavily influenced by both capital and operating costs incurred by Total and its partners. Since 2014, civil society groups in Mozambique have been calling for its government to conduct cost recovery audits and ensure the subsequent disclosure of their results. It was only in 2018 that the government caved to the requests. 3 years after that process commenced, the auditors found that out of the approximately $2 billion declared by the concessionaires in the two areas, $33 million was not considered eligible for recovery. In addition, regarding Area 4, $676 million of the recoverable costs were classified incorrectly, contrary to the accounting and financial procedures of the contract. At the moment, the audit of recoverable costs for Area 4 is in the process of finalization. In Guyana, there have been incessant calls for the PPPC government to complete the audit of close to $10 billion in costs incurred by ESSO for its Liza Phase 1 and 2 projects, as well as for expenditure that occurred prior to the 2015 oil discoveries. Muridi residents up the ante against government over agreement signed with Canadian gold company. Residents of Muridi in the deep South Rupununi, Region 9, continue to protest over the signing of a new agreement between the government and a Canadian-based gold company for prospecting work to be done in their community. Following the announcement on social media of the signing, residents became alarmed and protested the decision, citing that they were never consulted and have no knowledge of how their lives would be impacted by the activities. This prompted a visit by cabinet members on Saturday, who residents say were just there to brainwash them. In attendance were Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat, Minister of Home Affairs Rupsam Ben, and Minister of Amerindian People's Affairs Pauline Sukai. Officials from GGMC were also present. We understand that the meeting took place only after a contract was signed, permitting the company to conduct its hunt for gold resources in the area. Residents in the area who attended the meeting said that they were made to understand that the government has granted approval for Guyana Gold Strike, a Canadian-based company, and Auras Guyana Inc. to prospect the land for gold. Tushau of Aishalton, a village just about 15 miles outside of Muridi, said that the indigenous community feels disrespected. Two relatives of an alleged fraudster have joined him in the lockups after they tried to buy his freedom on Saturday for the Christmas holidays. The alleged fraudster was identified as a 37-year-old resident of Houston, East Bank, Demerara. Trying to buy his freedom for $700,000 was his brother, 38, and a female relative, 25. We were told that there was a 2-year-old arrest warrant out for the alleged fraudster, and police managed to detain the man on Saturday around 17 hours. It is understood that he was wanted for selling unsuspecting customers' properties that were not his. Confronted about his illegal actions of trying to bribe a police officer, the alleged fraudster reportedly said that he did not want to spend his Christmas behind bars. The pro-democracy group, Article 13, is calling on the government to extend the duration of the public consultation for the proposed amendments to the Representation of the People Act, as they said the proposals are inadequate and unsatisfactory and fail to address some of the more fundamental problems associated with elections. The civil society group consisted of prominent and outspoken Guyanese such as chartered accountant and attorney at law Christopher Ram and telecommunications specialist Yog Mahadio, economist Ramon Gaskin, among others. While noting its reservation with the proposals, the group is inter alia calling on the government to extend the duration of the public consultation for the proposed amendments. Article 13 noted in the missive that it considers genuine electoral reforms a national imperative for Guyana's democratic development, a prerequisite to social, political, and economic progress. The group said nonetheless that any attempt at reform must begin with an analysis of the problem. According to the civil group, an exercise of this nature must proceed from the recognition that a deficient apparatus will produce flawed results. In other news, we now tell you that the government plans to spend over $200 million to clear city drains. With more rains expected in the next few months, the government of Guyana is rushing to spend over $200 million to clear city drains, canals, streets, and alleyways in bid to prevent flooding. This is according to two invitation for bids published on November 24th. Chief Hydromet Officer Dr. Garvin Cummins had said that the country can see higher than normal levels of rainfall, similar to what the country experienced early in the year. The Hydrometeorological Service, in its seasonal climate outlook report, also noted that from November to December 2021 to January 2022, there is a high chance for wetter than usual conditions across all regions. Meanwhile, during that period, Regions 9, Southern 6, 8, and 10 are likely to experience the least amount of rainfall. Notably, the Hydromet warned that Regions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10, Northern 6, and 8 can experience flooding as a result of persistent rain. Time check for you, 12 hours 10. We will return with more news shortly after the break.
Guyana, join me on the Glenn Lal Show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:20 p.m. and a rebroadcast at 11 a.m. The Glenn Lal Show only on Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 and 99.5 FM.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
My name is Amrita Koshal. We now return with your main newscast in detail. Sparandam man wanted for chopping resident. Chancey Carlton Bristol of Sparandam, East Coast Demerara, is wanted by the police for allegedly wounding 28-year-old Javon McPherson, who was chopped several times about his body last Sunday. According to police reports, the incident took place in the Sparandam squatting area on November 21st. Information revealed that around 1910 hours that day, McPherson was sitting on a chair next to a wooden stall when he was reportedly attacked by Bristol, who was armed with a cutlass. A fight ensued between the two men, which caused them to end up in a nearby trench. There, the suspect dealt McPherson several chops about his body before making good his escape. Anyone with information that may lead to the arrest of 36-year-old Chancey Bristol is asked to contact the police on telephone numbers 225-6411, 229-2750, 225-8196, 911 or the nearest police station. All information will be treated with the strictest confidence. Rice farmer dies after tractor topples. A 20-year-old man was pinned to death by the tractor he was operating on Sunday at Vride Bagdam, Kaieteur. The dead man has been identified as Samuel Singh of Don Robin Farm, Kaieteur, Berbice. His uncle, Manoj Kumar Singh, disclosed that he received a call just before 12 p.m. and was told that Samuel was pinned by the tractor he was driving in the Vride Bagdam. He added that his nephew left with his father for the Bagdam at 6 hours Sunday to execute some work in the fields. Singh said after he got the call, he left for the scene and rushed him to the New Amsterdam Public Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. His body is presently at the New Amsterdam Hospital mortuary awaiting autopsy. Increase beneficial ownership screening in oil industry to reduce corruption risks, NRGI advises. In light of the fact that the oil and gas sector is prone to corruption, Guyana is being urged to increase beneficial ownership screening so as to reduce the sector's risk of corruption. This was recently noted by the Natural Resource Governance Institute, NRGI, an independent non-profit organization dedicated to improving countries' governance over their natural resources. Since 2015, the institution has been providing advice to Guyana's authorities. The institute noted that in most natural resource-rich countries, when a company is seeking the right to explore for or produce oil, gas, or minerals sector, rules require that regulators check some basic information before granting the company a license and accompanying contract. In this regard, NRGI said that the regulator is supposed to judge whether the company is technically competent, financially sound, and is in compliance with environmental and safety rules. It noted, however, that licensing rules generally do not require screening of whether public sector officials have interests in an applicant company, which could create serious conflicts of interest. In other news, we now tell you a new mobile learning app help women in business grow. It is expected to surpass target of 3,000 downloads. Her venture, the mobile learning app launched last September as part of efforts to help female entrepreneurs in Guyana grow their businesses, is moving rapidly towards its target of reaching 3,000 Guyanese women in business. According to Selena Bacchus, marketing officer for Action Invest Caribbean Inc., the local delivery partner for the app, downloads of the digital learning tool has already surpassed 2,000 users. Bacchus explained that based on the trajectory, the app will likely surpass the target of having 3,000 downloads and users by January. Bacchus noted too that there is also a system in place for the company to track and monitor the progress of those who download the learning app. She explained that while downloading apps is free, the objective is to have women in business acquire the knowledge and skills needed to improve their products and services. It is now time for your COVID-19 update. A 69-year-old fully vaccinated man from Region 2 is now deemed the country's latest COVID-19 fatality. As a result of this, Guyana's COVID-19 death toll has moved to 987. 66 new infections were recorded, taking the total number of confirmed cases to 37,773. 17 patients are admitted into the ICU, 71 persons in institutional isolation, 1,433 in home isolation, and 3 in institutional quarantine. To date, a total of 35,265 persons have since recovered from the virus. We now turn your attention to page 7 of the Kaieteur News, Blunt. Exxon is so confident that it is building a fourth FPSO with no government approval. The PPP government has given Exxon a free hand to do what it wants. Exxon can build what it wants and pay Guyana what it wants for our oil. PPP and Exxon's leaders sleep in the same bed and know each other's dirty stories. It is why Exxon can behave as though it is running this country. Indeed, Exxon is running Guyana. Our leaders seem very comfortable being the company's puppets and mascots. My name is Amrita Koshal, and this was your main newscast.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise